This podcast contains adult themes, sexual content, and strong language. Listener discretion is advised.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which this podcast is recorded and produced, the Jagera and Turrbal peoples, and the traditional owners of the lands wherever this podcast is being heard. We honour the long and rich history of storytelling on country and pay our respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders, past and present. Sovereignty was never ceded.
The question is just generally like...
Sorry.
Oh, God. Oh, no. The thing is, I hate puns so much. So this is deeply distressing for me.
All right, well, I'll try
it.
to rein it in.
Too fast for the women, as in, like, they'll just get, like, plastered against the inside of the car.
Yeah, and their wombs will fall out of them.
And they just have, like, a head, like, right near a butt.
Follow us everywhere.
We are all over the place.
Can't get away from us, actually. We are hunting you down. We are your hosts, Amy and Sarah.
And this is the State of the Field. Hello, welcome to our State of the Field episode 3 of State of the Field.
Here we go.
And today we are talking about sports romances.
Hell yeah, we are.
What is with all the sport? Because I'm sure if you've been on this journey with us, we've already read 2 sport romances on the pod. But I'd say like a sport romance, what was it, like Icebreaker? Was that one?
Yeah.
It was really big a few years ago.
Yes.
That was like the first romance book of the sort of more like book talky fame that I became aware of. It was that and The Love Hypothesis.
Right.
So that was kind of my understanding of what romance fiction was at that time. So obviously, as I'm sure you know, sports romance is very popular, very big. So...
And we just finished reading Heated Rivalry.
We just read Heated Rivalry.
Yes.
And now, of course, I think we can claim the TV show for the romance genre, even though it's not a book. That's where it started. And it's sort of infiltrating out into other media. And yeah, sports romance fiction, very popular.
Very hot right now.
Yeah. So...
Why?
Yeah, that's like, I'm like, what's the vibe? What's the situation? And as usual, Sarah is our romance expert. And so I'd love to just hear your general thoughts off the bat.
Oh,
no
let's see how many puns we can get in.
Oh my
sport
gosh.
puns. I'm actually not good with puns, so that probably won't be many. But if you have any, right off the bat, let's go.
Off the bat.
Swing and a miss. No. So I'm just trying to think of the other ones now.
You're skating on thin ice. Oh!
Okay, brilliant. That's 3, no, only 2. Mine didn't actually count. That was just me saying it out loud. It wasn't in context. It didn't mean it.
Swing and a miss. Okay, so obviously we're feeling very hilarious today.
Yeah, we're feeling ready to go.
But yeah, my question is just
Ready,
generally
set,
like...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, God. Oh, no. The thing is, I hate puns so much. So this is deeply distressing for me.
All right, well, I'll try to rein it in. That's for all the horse gals out there. I'm actually doing such a good job.
You're doing really well. Once you start, you just can't stop.
Just hit the flow.
Yeah, the momentum will just carry you through.
Yeah. Hit my stride.
Gals, readers.
I'm so sorry.
This is so serious. I can't express how serious this conversation is.
And you might kick me off the podcast if I keep doing this.
This might be
the last time you ever see me.
Yeah. If she's not here next ep, then you know what happened. I've gone solo.
Flying solo.
Okay. But my general question is...
Sorry.
Like,
focusing up.
Why do you think sports romances are popular? And what are sort of the pros and cons of them, I guess? Because, like, you know, I think, like, every trope, every sort of story set up, there's things that we like, things that we don't like.
Yes.
So why do you think it's so popular? Pros and cons? What do you like about them? Lay it out for us.
Great. Why do I think it's so popular? I think, there's so many reasons. I feel like there's... Sport just is popular in the real world. But I think it's interesting to me that sports romances are popular with specifically women, or especially women and people who read romance books, when often women's sport isn't as popular as men's sport or male sport, or women haven't been really allowed in the sport space historically.
Yes, traditionally male sport is yet not very...
welcoming.
Either interesting or welcoming to female viewers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is like not necessarily true. I think it's part of the patriarchy and part of a myth about sport is that it's male centric and it's dominated. Like,
yeah, and that women don't understand it.
And the women don't understand it or don't like it or whatever. It's too tough for them, whatever. Like, I mean, you're a perfect example. You absolutely love AFL.
I do.
Like, you have a tattoo of
I do.
AFL. Like, it's not, like, sport isn't a gender-based interest for me. I don't think it actually is at its bare bones. But I think, given the historical context of sport, I think having romances with sport in it, because I think another thing to keep in mind is oftentimes the sport in these sport romances isn't the main thing. We don't learn, like I said in the last episode
literally
of Heated Rivalry,
said this, yeah.
Go listen to that if you haven't listened to it already. I learned nothing about ice hockey from that romance.
Neither did
and yet it was really, we talked about how it was really well placed in the ice hockey world. Like, it felt maybe more so than Flawless, which we read first, which is a bull riding romance. It felt more like the ice hockey did give structure and context to the characters, but we didn't learn anything about the sport.
No.
Like, most often these romances aren't teaching us anything about the sport, or, you know, the sport isn't a huge part of it necessarily. It creates the context. But I feel like that's a really good in for people, people who read romance. I think it's also does create an interesting, like I've said, context for romance books. Like, it's something that's familiar for a lot of people. You know, yeah, those are my initial thoughts, and I think I'll have more thoughts for later.
Yeah, and so I think, like, because you're right, as much as, like, sport has been kind of gatekept in a way, and, like, at its bare bones, it shouldn't be gendered, but it is gendered in our society.
Yes.
Then, yeah, as romance fiction has been a way for women to, you know, and the girls' gays and the theys, lots of people that are sort of mostly excluded or impinged upon by patriarchy more aggressively. It has been a way to allow them safe spaces to explore and to express. And like we talked about in the last State of the Field, like, obviously a lot of that revolves around sexuality, desire, and, like, the romance aspect. But what is cool about the sports romance, like, subgenre, is what you've said. It's sort of, this is a thing that a lot of women particularly, and a lot of queer people are sort of not encouraged to like, or have been gatekept from. Even just the fact that, like, as we talked about in the Heated Rivalry episode, the existence of out queer players is just, like, not a thing in men's sport. And we're seeing in our lifetime, especially in the last 10 years, like, a massive rise in women's sport.
Totally.
And so, you know, proving to people that women can play sport, women like sport, they like to play it, they like to watch it, you know, all these sorts of things.
Yes.
And yeah, I like thinking about this as just kind of like another little, you know,
step along
feather in the hat of sort of like, we're just engaging with this thing that's been kind of prohibited from us in just this fun way as well.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, as you said, like, the sports romances that we've read together for the pod, I have learnt nothing about it. Maybe a bit on Heated Rivalry of, like, I learned the name of one of the tournaments, or, like, the Stanley Cup that they win, which is a real thing. And you get the general vibe of what it's like to be a player, like, going from city to city and on tour and things like that. But, like, in Flawless with the bull riding, literally nothing. Just that you can die from getting thrown off a bull, which I think I already knew.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty obvious.
So, like, would we say that that's a con? Do you think, like, are we supposed to be learning about the sports from it, or is it more just what you said? It's just like a background. It's just a character trait, basically.
I don't see it as a con. I think, you know, maybe it starts as, for some people, as a jumping off point, that if they then are interested in that sport, they can go watch it live, or they can go, like, watch the like, I don't know, TV games and whatever else. Like, they can have use that romance as a way to get into it. I think honestly, if a romance book was trying to teach me about a sport, I'd be bored. I'm like, that's not what romance is for, man.
But it's
the wrong
interesting,
context
right?
to teach me the rules.
Because if we remove the sport thing and sub it in with something else.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, maybe we should have a counter.
We should have a little, counter. How many sport puns can we get in this episode?
If we sub it in for something else, like a historical romance, for example, the historical aspect to it for us contemporary readers is just a backdrop. It's just where the characters live in. But we would kind of think that it was... Yeah, we would kind of think that it's a bit shit if we didn't learn something about the time period. And maybe that's different because the sport is a thing in the world. It's not the entire world. But then you have things like heated rivalry where literally the sport is the entire world because it shapes the way that the characters behave to each other. Like Ilya and Shane, their entire interactions with each other are shaped by the homophobia and the kind of pressure of their fame in their sport. And then even like Shane's parents, right? Like their entire characterization is as really like mad hockey fans, and, you know, to the extent that they end up being great allies for Shane and Ilya because they can kind of step in and help them and kind of create the foundation and et cetera, et cetera. And then for Ilya's characterization, how his family feels about sport, which is how a lot of people and families in poorer countries, or, you know, what we used to call like third world countries, sport is a gateway out of poverty. Sport is a way to kind of climb the social ladder really quickly without having much. All you need is your body and a willingness to kind of do whatever the activity is. And we see that impinging on Ilya in a really like hectic way with his parent. His dad is like constantly pushing him, constantly like riding him, and sort of like, you know, and then asking for money and like all that sort of stuff. So like the sport is so important. It's the whole world, but then it's like we don't actually learn anything about how it functions. Maybe as an actual sport, but we do learn how it functions socio-culturally, right? Like, so maybe it is the same as the historical background. Maybe I just talk myself into that.
That was cool. That was cool to watch.
But then in Flawless, though, right? I don't think it did it as well as Heated Rivalry, because it wasn't as deep, like in terms of the social, cultural construction of what the sport means. It just felt like Rhett's job. So you could have subbed that out and been like, oh, he's a paramedic and it's really demanding and hectic, or he's a mountaineer or something and he's going to fall off a mountain one day and kill himself, and she's really worried about that. Like, I don't actually think it made a difference that it was bull riding. It was just a hectic job. Whereas Heated Rivalry, the sport and the culture of the sport really mattered.
Speaking of, which we can maybe talk about another time because this is a bit of a tangent, but I feel like hectic job should be another subgenre because there are firefighter romances, there are police romances, there are like all these other like hectic, I think that I'm going to call them that from now on.
Hectic job.
They're a hectic job romances.
The hectic job trope. Oh my God. Okay, we're going to code that now. And like the next ones that we read and we're like, oh my gosh.
It's a hectic job one.
She has a hectic job. That's part of it. Yeah, because I suppose a lot of the ones we've read so far, sort of no surprises that we're drawn to these are the ones that they're like writers and editors and, you know, the creatives and the, you know, the cerebral thing. But yeah, that is, again, a classic trope, isn't it, of the person it's the physicality of it.
It's the physicality of it. And I think that is another aspect why people are drawn to sports romances because of naturally what it means for what we assume the character will be like.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
You know, ice hockey romances, we're assuming they're going to be kind of tall and ripped and fit and all that kind of stuff. And then bull riding, we're assuming he's going to have abs, right, to hold on to that bull.
And probably like stocky and like that cowboy image.
The cowboy
as well.
image. And I don't know, other sports romances, which we'll probably talk about later. We have an assumption in our mind of what that person, that especially MMC, often the MMC, is going to look like or behave like or be like. We have the stereotypes that go along with it. The firefighter, we're going to assume that he's heroic and he's buff and he's tall and like with the stubble on his chin and a bit of smoke on his face. You know, we have assumptions that people lean into and find sexy or attractive. And so I feel like the authors get to capitalize off of that, off of society's assumptions about these jobs or sports or the people who would be in them. And it means that, the readers are going in with a certain expectation about what the character is going to be like, which maybe the authors can use as a way to subvert expectations, which would be really interesting. Or they just like play along with it and give the people what they want, and that's great.
Yeah, that's so true. It's like, and I think we forget sometimes how powerful that those sort of images are and that like subconscious understanding. And I love that. It's like whether the authors themselves know that that's what they're doing or whether they're just like, oh, I want to write a story about a guy who's kind of like, you know, buff and this and like, oh yeah, and he can play some kind of sport. Or whether it's like, oh, I'm going to write about this person because my reader is already going to be able to picture the MMC in a particular way. And you're right, it's still focused mainly on MMCs, and even if it's not a heterosexual romance. If it's a queer romance, it's still mostly between men. So it'd be interesting
for
to
the
see.
sports romances, yeah.
But that just reflects, doesn't it, that we don't have a huge cache of like images in our head about female athletes, female sports people, unless it's like what I was thinking of actually is the dance thing.
Right.
So women are barely represented in sports romances, but like if you're as old as I am, you remember the just several years of kind of, I was going to say heated something or other. I just kept thinking heated rivalry. But you remember the few years where it was just like every year a new dance movie came out, and it was all like some like Step Up, like Honey, like Center Stage, Save the Last Dance, like all this kind of stuff. And there's a little bit of like Wrong Side of the Track stuff as well. But it's always about women dancing and kind of in the dancing
and then
world.
like maybe like slightly adjacent to that is like the gymnastics cheerleading kind of movies
Bring It
as well.
On, Stick It.
Yeah, which were also female centric, which was it's amazing. But I feel like that's like just slightly to the side of the dance stuff. Like kind of came at the same time, slightly different sport, but
it's still the same vibe, right? Because if we're thinking about girls that have been raised in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, they do dance or they do gym. They don't do footy. They don't do hockey. They don't do, I don't know, what else have we even got? Soccer. I mean, we had Bend It Like Beckham, baseball. But part of Bend It Like Beckham was the genre challenge of like, girls can't play soccer, like that whole thing, you know?
Yep.
But
I mean, and what's it? She's a Man.
Oh, iconic.
Incredible.
What a great film. Now I just really...
I know. I'm just going to go watch that. Oh my goodness. Incredible.
Let's have just like a little moment of appreciation for our Lord and Saviour, Amanda Bynes.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that movie's incredible for so many things, not only Amanda Bynes and the fact that it's like women can play baby Channing Tatum, women can play football too. Yeah. And it's also a Shakespeare adaptation. Like, come on.
Good. Yep. I love her sassy gay friend Paul and her dumb as rocks friend Kia.
Yeah.
Who was that chick that had like a flash in the pan moment of fame because she was always like the best friend or like the sidekick. And then she played the lead in Charlie St. Clair with Zac Efron. She got to pash Zac Efron.
Excellent.
And then we just never heard from her again.
I mean, once you've peaked.
Retire, you know, retire age 22 or whatever.
Amazing.
After pashing Zac Efron. But yeah, she's so dumb in that film and I really like it.
No, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I actually just really want to rewatch it now. I remember watching it with you a couple of years ago.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Yeah,
anyway,
I do. It was
good
so
times.
Nice. Anyway.
All right. Bring it back in.
But yes, no. So it's interesting again that we have the image in our head of this athlete, of this person, and I think you're right. It can be like a very quick way to communicate a character, especially physicality, to a reader, and kind of play on any existing images or fantasies that they might have about that person. So it'd be kind of cool, like, you know, if we're still doing this in 20 or 30 years, to sort of see if we can map a shift, like of actually now we have much more sports romances featuring women and different types of characters, because just as sport gets a bit more diverse in our lives, and we can see how that goes.
I'm wondering, I want to see like a romance where one of the, like the FMC, I would love it to be queer, so 2 FMCs, and one of them is based off Ilona Maher. Like that, someone has to be writing that, surely.
Oh my God. Not like, she would probably never watch this, but like,
please.
Queen, hi.
Yes. Also, I love your podcast.
Oh, she's doing the most.
She's doing
the most.
Everything, and I love her so much. And we need to see someone out there write that. And and also, if you know of some queer sports romances where it's like a lesbian or please tell us. Please, I want to read them.
We want some recommendations. But yeah, I would read the shit out of that. I would watch the shit out of that. Yeah. I want an Ilona Maher like not like fanfic because that makes it sound creepy. But yeah, I want her in fiction form.
Yes.
Just being like the baddest bitch out.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay, if you're working on anything right now, writers, maybe it's just a great idea.
Yeah.
And also, Ilona, we love you. Hi. Okay, great. So my thought then is, do we think that these sports romances then can have an impact beyond like a life that's greater than the book? And obviously heated rivalry, we can see that. But that was probably more to do with the TV show.
Yeah.
And I like what you said before, is you think it can be a kind of a way in for people. So I mean, like, do you have... Like, has that been an experience for you or for friends or anything like that?
Yes, definitely for friends. I have a friend, shout out Nat, Hopefully you're listening or watching.
We love you too.
She started, I believe this is the story, so Nat, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but she started reading a bunch of ice hockey romances and is now, I think through that, a massive fan of a particular real life ice hockey team in America.
That's so
and
cool.
she will like wake up at 2 a.m. or whatever to watch their games and like be watching. Yeah. So like she has become a huge real life fan of a real life ice hockey team because of reading romance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely happens.
Ice hockey is like definitely, I don't want to say overrepresented because it sounds like it's like a negative, but like heavily represented in the sports romance genre. So that would make a lot of sense. You can read enough of them that you can be in the world and kind of be like, actually, yeah, I actually really enjoy being in this space and kind of, my thought is just, if we're watching ice hockey players now, are we actually enjoying the sport, or are we sitting there imagining that they maybe go back to the locker room and make out? Like, what are we doing when we watch the sport? Are we enjoying the game, or are we concocting our own kind of stories and fanfics in our head about these people?
And is it both?
Maybe it's
both. And is it both? Amazing.
I do often, when I'm watching the AFL, because in AFL, Australian Football League, you aren't obviously allowed to like punch people in the head.
Right.
Pretty good rule. And so when they're angry and they're like, oh, you just did this, they just do a lot of like grabbing of the jerseys and like being in each other's faces, like right here, because they just want to throttle each other, but they can't. And every time I'm always like, kiss, kiss.
The sexual tension.
And they wear these tiny little shorts.
They
and
do wear the tiny
like
little shorts.
So
and
fit.
I mean, I haven't watched much AFL, but people will like leap up to get the ball, and you'll have like the person on the bottom who will like hold the shorts at like the thighs. Oh no, maybe
that's rugby.
That's rugby. Never mind.
That's rugby
the
where
one
they actually lift
rugby,
them up.
and they lift them up. They will like hold the legs, and then they'll just be like,
and they just have like
a
head like right near a butt.
Yeah.
In AFL, they're just like, there's just limbs everywhere, and they do what's called taking a specky, which is like a very spectacular mark, which is where usually one of the smaller guys will like have a big run, and he'll leap up and he'll literally like stand on
like
people,
climb.
like and then he's just like 3 meters in the air and he grabs the ball, and it's like very spectacular. It's very homoerotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of exposed flesh, and they're all very fit, and they spend a lot of time just like rolling around on top of each other.
And sometimes if it's raining, it gets muddy. So
I'm just
ripe. Yeah. Ripe for some
I do not believe for one second that there is not a single gay or queer man in any of the
statistically
teams.
There can't be.
It's impossible.
There are.
But in terms of being out publicly, they don't exist in the AFL at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe heated rivalry might change that.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, so we've had Nat, who has become a huge fan of ice hockey, and then I know that there's a couple of my girlfriends now from school are super into the F1.
Right.
Hardcore into it. And I think of at least the 3 of them that literally have just all gone. They just went to Melbourne for the recent one that was down there.
Oh, yes.
They like travelled overseas for it. They're so into it. I think at least 2 of those 3 were from watching the Drive to Survive show.
It's good. Yeah. I also have seen it. I got into F1.
There you go. I know 4 people.
Yeah, 4 people. Partly through Drive to Survive and partly through meeting somebody at my work who was super into F1 and just like talked to me nonstop about it, which was really lovely. Yeah. And then I got into it through that as well. And then, she was like, go watch Drive to Survive. So I have. And now I like follow it. I wouldn't say like I'm a hardcore fan. Yeah. I've never gone to any of them. I don't think I will. I think I actually have a lot of problems with F1 as a sport. I'm like, this is a very elitist, billionaire focused.
Yeah.
There are only 20, 22, 24. They've recently increased. I do know that. They've recently increased the number of drivers there are in the world. Also, the fact that they still won't let women race F1 cars or like whatever the other type. Yeah, because it's like, it's too fast for the women. I think, don't come at me if that's recently changed, but it has been a thing that like.
Too fast for the women, as in like they'll just get like plastered against the inside of the car.
Yeah, and their wombs will fall out of them.
That's true. My womb is at risk of falling out of me at any moment. So, thank God people are taking care of me.
Yeah, the men are looking out for us.
But isn't it that like women would be better race car drivers because they have little feet? So they're really good at making the switches.
Also, a lot of women are lighter and smaller than men sometimes. So like, again, stereotypically, not everyone, but like, I mean, you have to be a certain, like,
body
weight
type.
and body type
Yeah.
for it to be light enough, otherwise you'll actually slow down the car. Anyway, I do know a lot about F1 now because I have watched Drive to Survive, and it is very interesting, but I also have a lot of issues with the sport.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and
yes.
that made me think of, like, so one of these friends who is really big into F1, and she's quite into a lot of sport in general, so I don't think that sports romance was much of a impact for her in changing the way that she engaged with sport already. Probably just added an element for her. But I was asking her about it in prep for this episode, and she said that, yeah, she just thinks that sports romance is just a way to have certain characters be rich, famous, and jacked.
Yeah.
Which goes to what we were saying before, right? It's more about playing into audience expectations and allowing yourself to have a character, again, an MMC, that is so almost unnaturally fit and unnaturally skilled and well, because you're like, oh, well, he's a pro athlete. And you're like, oh, okay.
All right, we'll just run with that. Don't even question it.
Which, yeah, I guess makes sense. Those people do exist. They have to work very hard. I don't know if they're the most interesting characters, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where the authors need to do the work, is making the character himself or herself actually interesting for the reader beyond just what we bring to the character, knowing their sport or their profession. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Right, so you mentioned that you read a bunch of sports romances.
I have.
Yes. So I obviously have only read 2.
Yep.
And we've talked about them already. Heated Rivalry, our most recent read, and our very first one, I do have a fondness for, Flawless. So we've got ice hockey, bull riding.
Yep.
I am very aware that there are many others out there. I've really only seen the ice hockey ones because I feel like they had a real moment. And then obviously the cowboy thing is kind of like a lifestyle as well as a sport.
Yes.
I don't necessarily associate cowboys with bull riding. I associate them with, like, living on ranches and stuff.
Yes.
So that's like a crossover.
Yes.
But Rhett was an actual professional bull rider, so pro athlete.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us a bit more about what sports romances you have read? Like how many? What kind of sports we talking?
Okay, so I actually have just thought of another one. So
she's made a list.
I made a list before we started, and I have 15 sports romances that I've read.
Nice. That's a representative sample. That's good.
It's a lot. It's also not that many in terms of number of books, but trust, I've read a lot more. Like, obviously you guys know I've read a lot more books, but of all the romance books I've read, 15 of them I've considered sports romances. Now, for me to have included them in this list, it has to be that one of the main characters actually does perform in this sport.
Okay, it's not just a hobby.
It's not just a hobby. It's not just like it's a, I don't know, it's set at a beach town and they all surf. Like, that's not. It's like, no, they have to be a surfer, or like they have to do this professionally.
Cool.
So I'm just going to find. I've just thought of the other one, and so I'm just going to find its name. I've forgotten the name of it. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, great. How do we want to do this? Do you want to guess the other genres, like the other sports?
Yes,
and then I can tell you the books.
I do.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Okay, so obviously...
So, ice hockey. You can start with ice hockey.
Ice hockey. So how many different sports do we have?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8.
Okay, eight different sports across 15, 16 books?
15
books. Okay. So, bull riding.
Correct.
Ice hockey.
Yes.
We know, for sure.
Yes.
Because I've read those as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just was like getting really like, oh my God, this is... Okay, I'm going to say, because you just said it's surfing.
Yeah.
Okay, as soon as you said that, I was like, I would read that.
Yeah.
Because I grew up by the beach, and I feel like, again, it's tapping into something, I always wanted to learn to surf as a kid because it was like such a cool thing.
Yes, same.
But we never really did it. I would get around to surfing one, I reckon.
Yeah.
Don't care about the sport at all, but again, I like the
image
of the person. Okay,
yes.
Surfing. Soccer, like English football. Oh.
I've not read a single, not that I can remember. No.
Do they exist?
Yeah, totally. Okay. I haven't read any though.
Okay.
Yeah.
American football?
Yes,
like
gridiron.
NFL? Okay, gridiron. All right.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Something's coming to my mind of the title of one of them.
We'll go through the titles in a moment so that, you've got a whole list of recs from the ones that I've read.
Swimming?
Yeah.
Wow. Seems boring to me.
Swimming, so I'll add a
professional
caveat
swimmer.
with that. Yeah, it's college swimming and diving.
Oh, okay.
Swimming / diving. So one of the characters is a college swimmer, and like goes to the Olympics for swimming, and then the other one's a college diver. Like both main characters.
So is that another sport then, diving?
I kind of counted them as the one because it was in the one book.
Okay, cool.
But
Love that.
I think you've just got the one more. Oh no, two more.
Two more. Horse riding?
Yeah.
Like racing?
Racing, and then I've also put in the same category, which maybe could be split up, barrel racing.
Oh,
which is like on a horse, but they're doing
yeah,
around the barrel. So
yeah.
it's not just like on a track horse racing,
okay.
which some of them, like a couple of the books are, but then there's also barrel racing.
It's like, again, that crossover with the cowboy thing.
Yeah.
So have I got one left? I'm trying to think.
I actually mentioned it before we started recording. Just as a little hint. Like we were talking about it this morning.
A type of sport?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What's it gonna be?
I can't think of anything. Yeah.
We have a friend who's having a birthday party that's
WWE!
Yeah!
Yeah, shout out to our friend who's having a birthday party.
Happy birthday, Mitch.
Yeah, it's WWE theme. Yeah, so wrestling.
I've read a wrestling book as well.
Oh my God. I just forget that that's considered a sport. Yeah. I think of it more as theatre.
It is theatre, really. And that's, okay, something interesting that I did learn from reading that book is that I had no idea that WWE fights are completely like staged and scripted and like...
You had no idea?
I had no idea before reading that book.
That's the only thing that I know about it. That's the only thing that everybody knows about it.
I am just so... I never have engaged with any sort of wrestling because I'm like, I don't want to see people getting punched up and beaten up. Like I don't like it. So I didn't have any idea. And then I read the book and I was like, oh my gosh, they've got like characters and they have story arcs.
It's like a whole performance thing. That's why I think if it's more of like a stage play or like a musical or something. Yeah. So iconic.
Yeah.
But wait, isn't that only 7?
Oh. Ice hockey, bull riding, horse racing, barrel racing, college swimming and diving, WWE wrestling, gridiron, surfing. Oh yeah! There is one more.
Okay.
Again, we've actually talked about it in the pod.
Do you want to read me the title? Is it going to give it away too easily?
I can't remember the name of this one.
Oh, okay.
I read it so long ago.
I want to say something like really left of field. Like archery.
No. We've literally talked about it a bunch on pod right now.
Oh my gosh.
You have friends who got into it, but
F1!
Yeah!
I was like, what?
I read an F1 book years ago. I can't even remember the name of it. It's no longer on my Kindle. I must have deleted it at some point, just gone through and been like, get rid of all these books. So I have no idea what it's called. Sorry, everybody. But I did read an F1 book at some point.
I'm just going to Google F1 romance book because now I'm really interested to hear their... Okay, AI Overview is telling me that key titles in Lauren Ash's Dirty Air series is Throttled, Collided, Cross the Line, and Double Apex.
So I have heard of those books. Lauren Asher, I do know her. I have not read any of her books. I've not read those books. It was a different F1 book, but yes,
Off the
I do
Grid,
know of them.
Fast and Hard, Sparks Fly, Downforce, or
I think
the
there should be one called G-Force. But no,
Not So Fast, Drive Me Crazy.
Look, it might be any of those, honestly. I cannot remember. But there are so many, honestly, there are so many books for so many different subgenres. Just go out there and find them.
Okay, wait, I want to find surfing romance book.
Yeah. I can tell you the name of the one that I read.
The Red Bikini? Tell me.
It's called Heathen and Honeysuckle by Sarah A. Bailey. And the MMC is a pro surfer.
Heathen and Honeysuckle.
It's a really weird title, okay, but don't judge it. It actually is a really quite beautiful book.
Darby, aka Honeysuckle, is a good and innocent girl, a rule follower. Well, Leo, aka Heathen, is a troublemaker, a rule breaker, a bad boy with a good soul. Ugh, I hate them already.
I actually really liked it. It's a good book. It was very sweet because it goes back and forth between like when they met at like 16 and fell in love, and then it's 10 years ahead because she like had to go back home for reasons. And wasn't able to come back to him even though she wanted to. And so then they reunite 10 years later. And it was actually really beautiful, and he's a pro surfer. So that's the only surfing romance I've read. Also, I maybe we don't have time to go through the entire list, but like DM us if you want the entire list of things.
Yeah.
But I did want to say, of all of these books, the FMC is the sports person in 2 of them.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. So in the college swimming diving one, they're both. But she has her diving, like that's her thing. And then there's a book called Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, where she is the horse barrel racer.
Oh,
and
yeah, okay. Because that's another thing, right? Equestrian girls is like often in equestrian.
Horse gals. But every single other one, the FMC is involved, but isn't. Oh no, actually, I'm sorry. There might be another. There is another Elsie Silver, where she is. I mean, we should include ballerinas as a sport, ballet as a sport. Oh, definitely. So never mind. There's more. There's more that I can think of. So there's one of Elsie Silver's books, Powerless, is the MMC is a pro ice hockey player, and the FMC is a pro ballerina. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. And then another Elsie Silver, the FMC is a jockey for the horse racing. So go Elsie Silver, I guess, for bringing us in that representation.
Ethically complicated sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, very ethically complicated sport, horse racing. But yeah, that's my list.
It's quite diverse.
It is.
Yeah.
I should get in. Well, not should, but I do want to get into some other sport because like the majority of them here are ice hockey or horse.
Yeah, but they're kind of very American as well.
They're very. I mean, some of them are Canadian.
True. Sorry, I should say North American. So yeah, what sports romances do you want to read?
Ooh,
what are you desperate to see the representation of?
Oh my goodness!
In the romance world.
I think I would like to see some like soccer or like football, but like queer women's football. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know. I'll just read anything.
She's just hungry for it all.
I just want more. Yeah. What about you? What do you want to read?
Well, obviously, I would get into an AFL one, and I feel like I googled it once. There might be one that exists.
Yeah, but it's an Australian sport. It's not really
very niche.
Much else. Although does Alona Ma play AFL? Oh, no, she plays rugby sevens.
Yeah, rugby sevens. Yeah. So like, I'd be keen for AFL just because I love that world and I'd love to see it represented. I'm also a big fan of tennis and loved Challenges, great film. So like that kind of vibe in book form would be great. But I just wonder if tennis would be boring to talk about in book version.
But again, the tennis just has to be the context.
Yeah.
You don't have to like play by play the match.
Yeah. So I think that would be fun. And then I want some really obscure sports. So like curling. Which was a big fan of yours from the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
Maybe roller derby.
Oh my gosh, I actually have read a book where it's not pro roller derby, but
like
she was a roller part of a roller derby team.
So roller derby, and then I don't know, bobsledding.
Oh my gosh.
But I just think the thing that, like, as we've been saying, the main thing that I get really excited about with sport and I like about sport is what it means socioculturally.
Yeah.
And like, so I guess I'm like you, it kind of could be anything if the meaning of the sport and how it shapes people's lives and then the kind of social cultural scripts and like context is really well developed.
Yeah.
Then I could probably get into anything.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've answered our question, or at least come up with some ideas. Why is it so big right now? And
what's with all the sport?
What's with all the sport?
Apparently more than we think. So on that note, I guess.
Yeah.
If you have any good sports romances to recommend, as Sarah said, shoot us a DM, comment on our post. You can follow us on Instagram at Historical Romance Review, and we are on YouTube. And we're on TikTok now.
Yeah.
Yay.
Follow us everywhere.
We are all over the place.
Can't get away from us, actually. We are hunting you down.
And then let us know if you decide to go to the Boy Aquarium after this and maybe have a bit of a squiz. Plenty to look at, I guess.
Yeah.
So next time you see us, we'll be doing our regular full book review episode. But until next time, happy reading.
Happy reading, players.
Very good.
The Historical Romance Review is written, recorded and produced in Meanjin, Brisbane. All editing is done by Sarah Brain, original artwork by Caitlin Adams, original theme music composed by Johnny Barahona, who you can follow on Instagram at JohnnyNvivo, spelt JohnnyEnvivo. Sound support is provided by Zac Costa and recording equipment and guidance generously provided by John Ward. Thank you to everyone who continues to support this project with their expertise and enthusiasm. You can find all our episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.